Ladies and gentlemen, I want to start with the truth that most of us try to ignore. Greatness never comes free. Every story of triumph you admire, every name etched in history, every person who's ever reached the top of their field, each one paid a price. Some call it hard work, some call it struggle, some call it discipline. But the word that ties it all together is sacrifice. Sacrifice is not just about giving something up. It's about investing in what truly matters. It's about saying no to the easy road, the comfortable life, the fleeting pleasures in pursuit of something far bigger than yourself. And if you're serious about greatness, then today I want to share with you 5 truths about what it really takes to achieve it. Absolutely. Here's an expanded version of your keynote speech in the style you requested, keeping it powerful, emotionally resonant, and easy to follow. I have expanded your first key point to fully illustrate the theme in roughly 1,000 words for a complete keynote style delivery. Greatness demands discomfort. Think about that for a moment. Every person you look up to, the athletes, the artists, the leaders, the entrepreneurs, none of them reached the pinnacle by staying comfortable. None of them achieved extraordinary success by lounging in their comfort zone, by choosing the easy route, or by settling for what felt safe. True greatness is never born from ease. It is forged in moments of struggle, in nights filled with uncertainty, and in days when the world seems determined to hold you back. Michael Jordan, for example, is a name that evokes excellence in the world of sports. But his path to greatness was not a straight line paved with trophies and applause. In fact, early in his life, he faced moments that could have stopped anyone in their tracks. He was cut from his high school basketball team. Imagine being a teenager filled with dreams and hearing that you're not good enough. Many would have accepted that as their reality. Many would have chosen comfort, the safety of giving up, and the escape of not trying anymore. But Michael Jordan did not. Instead of letting rejection define him, he used it as fuel. He spent hours after school practicing in empty gyms, shooting baskets until his arms ached, until his fingers were raw, until the sweat dripping from his brow became a symbol of persistence. While other kids his age were out having fun, enjoying games, or just relaxing, he was putting in work that nobody would see. That work wasn't glamorous. It wasn't easy. It wasn't fun, but it was necessary. Comfort is seductive. It whispers to you every day, telling you it's okay to quit. It's okay to wait until tomorrow. It's okay to accept mediocrity. But the truth is, comfort is the enemy of growth. The moment you choose comfort over challenge, you stop evolving. Growth requires sacrifice. Growth requires that you step into situations that scare you, that make you question yourself, that make you doubt whether you are strong enough, skilled enough, or worthy enough to continue. Let me be clear. This doesn't just apply to sports or physical achievements. This applies to life, to your career, to your dreams, to the person you want to become. Imagine an entrepreneur working to build a business from the ground up. Every successful business you see today started as a dream in someone's mind, but to transform that dream into reality required countless sacrifices. There were days when bills piled up, when clients said no, when investors doubted their vision. There were nights without sleep, mornings filled with uncertainty, and moments when giving up would have been easier. Yet they pushed forward. They embraced discomfort because they understood that discomfort is temporary, but the reward of growth lasts a lifetime. And growth is not linear. You will fail, you will stumble, and you will experience setbacks that make you question why you even started. But here is the secret. Discomfort teaches you lessons that comfort never can. When you stay in your comfort zone, life becomes predictable, repetitive, and safe. But it also becomes small. Discomfort forces you to adapt, to learn, to innovate, and to rise above the challenges that everyone else avoids. It stretches you in ways you never imagined, shapes your character, and builds resilience. Without it, greatness is impossible. Let's consider another example, someone who may not be a household name, but whose story embodies this principle. Imagine a young woman working as a nurse in a busy hospital. She is exhausted, overworked, and underappreciated. Every day she faces life and death situations that push her to her limits. She sacrifices sleep, social life, and personal comfort to serve others. Yet, it is in these moments of exhaustion, these moments of selflessness and discomfort that she grows, not only as a professional, but as a human being. Her skill improves, her compassion deepens, and her impact becomes immeasurable. That's the power of embracing discomfort. It transforms you, strengthens you, and prepares you for the next challenge that life will inevitably throw your way. Discomfort also teaches you discipline. Discipline is not developed in moments of ease. Discipline is forged in the early mornings when you don't feel like getting out of bed, but push yourself to train, study, or work. Discipline is born in the moments when the world says rest, but you say, not yet. Discipline separates those who achieve their goals from those who merely dream about them. And every act of discipline comes at the expense of comfort. Every hour spent honing your craft, reading, practicing, and refining your skills is an hour you sacrifice from relaxation. But it is precisely in that sacrifice that greatness is born. Now, I don't want to sugarcoat this. Embracing discomfort is hard. It's painful. It challenges your very notion of who you are. It forces you to confront your limitations, face your fears, and endure struggles that can feel unbearable at times. You will feel fatigue. You will feel frustration. You will feel moments of doubt. But I promise you this, the person you become on the other side of that discomfort is far greater than the person you were when you began. The late nights, the early mornings, the extra mile, they hurt in the moment, yes, but they pay dividends for a lifetime. Think about it like this. Every time you push yourself beyond comfort, you expand your capacity. Every time you embrace the struggle, you learn something new about your strength, your resilience, and your potential. Every time you reject the easy way, you are sculpting a version of yourself that is unstoppable. The person who chooses comfort becomes average. The person who chooses discomfort becomes exceptional. And exceptional is what we call greatness. I want you to reflect on your own life for a moment. Where have you settled for comfort when you could have reached for more? Where have you avoided struggle when it could have propelled you forward? Greatness is waiting for you, but it will not come to you wrapped in ease and convenience. It will come to you in the form of challenge, in the form of sacrifice, in the form of discomfort that tests every part of your being. Remember, this discomfort is not punishment, it is preparation. Every moment you endure, every sacrifice you make, every hour you spend pushing beyond what feels easy, you are investing in yourself. You are investing in your growth. You are investing in your greatness. And when you finally reach the level you've been striving for, when you finally stand at the peak of your potential, you will look back and realize that every uncomfortable moment was worth it. Every struggle, every hardship, every sacrifice was laying the foundation for the life you always dreamed of. So I challenge you today, don't run from discomfort. Don't seek the easy path. Don't settle for a life that feels safe but leaves you unfulfilled. Step into the discomfort, embrace the struggle, and commit to the sacrifice. Because greatness is not for the faint-hearted. It is for those who are willing to pay the price. And the price, my friends, is the willingness to let go of comfort and step boldly into the unknown. Absolutely. Here's an expanded version of your second keynote point, written in the powerful, emotionally resonant style you requested. Roughly 1,000 words. Time. It is the one thing we all have the same amount of, yet it is the one thing we often waste without realizing its true value. Time is the most precious currency we have. You cannot earn it back once it is gone. You cannot borrow it. You cannot save it in a bank. Every second that passes is gone forever. And yet so many people spend their lives frittering it away, distracted by the trivial, chasing the immediate, and postponing what truly matters. But the ones who reach greatness, the ones who leave a mark on this world, they understand the power of time. They understand that greatness is not something that happens overnight. It is something earned carefully and intentionally, hour by hour, day by day. Consider J.K. Rowling. Before Harry Potter became a phenomenon, before the world knew her name, before the book sold millions and inspired generations, she was a single mother struggling to make ends meet. She lived on welfare, carrying the weight of responsibility, battling self-doubt, and facing rejection after rejection from publishers who said her work was unworthy. Every day could have been an excuse to give up, to retreat into comfort, to say, maybe this isn't for me. But she didn't. She understood that every hour she spent writing, even in the most challenging conditions, was an investment in her future. She chose to sacrifice her time, to pour herself into her craft, while others might have chosen easier paths. She worked in cafes while her daughter slept. She wrote late into the night when her energy had long disappeared. She wrote not because it was easy, not because it was convenient, but because she believed in something greater than herself. And this is the point. Greatness is never accidental. It does not happen by chance. You do not stumble into it. It is carefully crafted, built with intention, forged through countless hours of dedication and relentless effort. Every great musician spent years practicing their instrument in quiet rooms where no one could hear. Every brilliant scientist spent hours in labs, failing repeatedly before achieving a breakthrough. Every extraordinary athlete spent countless hours training while the world was asleep. None of them were given a shortcut. None of them avoided sacrifice. They understood that if they wanted to master their craft, they had to invest their most valuable resource, time. We live in a world that constantly tempts us with distractions. Social media, streaming platforms, endless entertainment, and the illusion of business. These are the things that steal our hours, leave us feeling unfulfilled. But those who reach greatness do not allow themselves to be prisoners of distraction. They choose where to invest their time, and they choose wisely. They understand that every hour spent learning, creating, or improving compounds over time, like interest in a bank account. And the results, though not immediate, are unstoppable. Think about Elon Musk. His journey to revolutionize space travel and electric vehicles was not built on luck or inspiration alone. It was built on long hours, grueling work weeks, and a willingness to sacrifice time that most people would consider essential for rest, recreation, or comfort. Musk has openly spoken about working 80-90, even 100 hours a week during the early years of his companies. That is sacrifice. That is investment. He chose to spend time building something meaningful rather than spending time seeking momentary pleasure. That is the difference between those who dream and those who achieve. Sacrificing time does not mean simply working harder. It means working smarter, and it means prioritizing what matters. It means recognizing that the hours you waste will never return, and the hours you invest will define your life. It is not just about productivity, it is about purpose. Every hour you dedicate to your growth, every hour you dedicate to your craft, every hour you dedicate to building the life you envision is an hour that brings you closer to greatness. Let me tell you another story. A man I know grew up in a neighborhood where dreams were small and the expectation was to settle for a life of mediocrity. But he had a vision. He wanted more. He wanted to create, to innovate, to leave a mark. Every day, while his friends were hanging out, scrolling through social media, or wasting time on things that gave temporary satisfaction, he devoted his hours to learning, to practicing, to developing skills that no one else cared about. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't easy. He sacrificed weekends, nights, vacations. He sacrificed the immediate pleasures that everyone else enjoyed. But today, he is living the life he dreamed of, and the difference, the secret to his success was time. Every sacrifice of leisure, every invested hour, compounded until it created something extraordinary. This is the reality of mastery. It demands time. You cannot shortcut it. You cannot bypass it. You cannot find a substitute for the hours you need to invest. Talent alone is not enough. Desire alone is not enough. Discipline alone is not enough. It is the combination of all these things applied consistently over time that produces mastery and ultimately greatness. And here is something else to understand: time waits for no one. It does not care about excuses. It does not bend for comfort, and it does not pause for indecision. The clock keeps moving. Every moment you delay, every hour you waste, every day you procrastinate is a day you cannot get back. But when you choose to invest your time, when you choose to dedicate yourself fully, when you choose to sacrifice the trivial for the significant, you align yourself with the rhythm of achievement. You align yourself with the forces that turn ordinary people into legends. Time also teaches patience. The person who sacrifices their time for mastery learns that results are not immediate. They learn that failure is part of the process, that progress is often invisible, and that the true reward lies in persistence. Consider the countless authors who never found a publisher, the entrepreneurs whose first ventures failed, the musicians who played empty bars before selling out arenas. They all had one thing in common: they understood the value of time, and they used it not for fleeting pleasure, but for long-term growth. They understood that the work invested now, even when invisible, accumulates, and that accumulation is what eventually creates greatness. So I want you to ask yourself, how are you spending your time? Are you investing it in the life you dream of, in the person you want to become, in the impact you want to make? Or are you letting it slip away, distracted by what is easy, what is comfortable, what gives temporary satisfaction? Because the truth is simple: if you want mastery, if you want greatness, you must be willing to sacrifice the hours, the days, and even the years that are not aligned with your purpose. You must be willing to do what others are unwilling to do. You must be willing to show up when others are resting, to push when others are quitting, to create when others are consuming. Greatness is not random. It is not magic. It is not a stroke of luck. It is the result of careful, intentional investment of your most precious resource, time. Every minute you spend learning, creating, practicing, and improving is a minute spent building your future. And every minute wasted is a minute stolen from your potential. The choice is yours, and the stakes are higher than you realize. Remember, this time is your life. Sacrifice it wisely. Spend it on what matters. Commit to mastery, even when it is hard, even when it is lonely, even when the world does not see your effort, because the world will recognize the results. The world will recognize the person who has dedicated their time to becoming extraordinary. And one day, when you look back, you will realize that every hour you sacrificed, every minute you invested, every day you devoted to your craft was worth it. Time is the foundation of greatness, and mastery is the reward of those who understand its value. Fear. It is one of the most powerful forces in human life. It sits quietly in the corners of our minds, whispering doubts, questioning our abilities, warning us of the dangers of trying, warning us of the shame that might come from failure. Fear is a luxury that the truly great cannot afford. It is a chain that keeps so many people trapped in the ordinary, convinced that comfort is safer, that hesitation is smart.